Hello, creative writing class. Today is Tuesday, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to dive into this. And so, you guys are going to do a little bit of practice this week. You guys aren't writing anything. On Thursday, you're going to have a worksheet that you do, but you're not writing anything this week. This week's just practice, and we're reading The Giver Monday and Wednesday. So, I just really want us to try to pedal through and finish that and finish up. You have a 5-question worksheet on Thursday. So, turn with me in your big Voyages book. I know this is so different than what we're used to for writing, but I felt like it would be a really good end and practice to some of the skills that I think you guys need to practice a little bit. So turn in your books to page 10.3. That's where I was going. 10.3. Exercise 1. I'm just going to turn there. Yeah. Alrighty. We're going to be practicing with quotation marks and italics. And this is very important to your writing skills. So I thought it'd be really good for us to practice. Remember, quotation marks are used before and after direct quotations. This will be really good for you when you practice for Thursday, because you're going to be using in-text citations again to answer your questions in your worksheet. Let's see, indirect quotations do not use quotation marks. That would be, is it like if you said, if you were just summarizing something, then you wouldn't necessarily use direct quotation marks. You would just cite something at the end. However, I would suggest you not to do that until later on in your work career. That's usually not something that I even did till I was in like my master's class with APA stuff. I usually always direct quoted just because my teachers were so sticklers with plagiarism. So you want to make sure you avoid plagiarism. We don't want to pretend like we know things we don't know. Italics are used for titles of books, magazines, newspapers, movies, and TV series. So this works of art, names of ships, like if you're going on the Carnival Cruise boat or ship, and it was called, I was trying to think of what I went on, The Glory, and that would be in italics because it's a specific one. So we're going to do exercise 1 here, and you're going to be doing 1 through 5 odd, so you only have 3 you have to do. So let's look here at number 2. I regret, declared Nathan Hale, that I have but one life to give for my country. So I regret, that goes in quotation marks, that's something he said. Declared Nathan Hale, and it has that comma after Nathan Hale. And then once again it has that quotation mark, that I have but one life to give for my country. Alright, let's look at number 4. Give me liberty or give me death, shouted Patrick Henry. And so that quotation mark goes around that give me liberty or give me death. So that's all you're doing on that page. If you turn to page 10.4, which is on the next one, this is apostrophes, hyphens, and dashes. So these are things that we don't use a whole lot in formal writing. Honestly, I've never used them in writing because eventually you'll just use formal writing, and they're not used a whole lot in that. But apostrophes are, so that shows possession, obviously, and it also shows the omission of letters used in contractions, which I usually don't let you guys use. I'm glad you guys know where to put those apostrophes, but a hyphen is used to divide a word between syllables at the end of a line. Compound numbers from like 80 dash or 80-4, not dash, sorry, 80-4. A dash is used to set off words that indicate a change in thought. Miss Blair dash, I believe he drives an SUV dash, teaches math. Those aren't necessarily always used in writing. Anyway, we're going to practice with these. So 10.4, you're going to be doing exercise 3, or I had to look, 3, 1 through 6, even, so you only have a few. Rewrite each sentence, adding the correct punctuation and italicizing as appropriate. Since you're doing the evens, I'm going to do the odds. The Daily Herald had an article about its readers' favorites. The Daily Herald needs to be in italics because it's a specific name of a newspaper. And then it's readers. After the S in readers, it needs that apostrophe because it's all the readers' favorites. Let's do number 3. One reader wrote, "I was deeply moved when Martin Luther King Jr. declared, 'I have a dream.'" One reader wrote, comma, quote, "I was deeply moved when Martin Luther King Jr. declared, comma, quote, 'I have a dream.'" Let's look at number 5. The editor exclaimed, "I'm surprised that no one mentioned the song Chicago or the book The Adventures of Tom Sawyer." The editor exclaimed, comma, and then you're going to start that quote there. "I am surprised that no one mentioned the song Chicago." Songs go in quotes, but this time, because it's in a quote, you just use a one quote mark. You don't use two, you just use the one. Or the book, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, and that Adventures of Tom Sawyer needs to be in italics. And then go to 10.5, and you're going to do exercise 1 through 10 even. It sounds like a lot of work, but I promise I did it to where you guys only have like 10 problems added up. So this, you're using capital letters, and you're going to look at what to capitalize: proper nouns, cities, holidays, titles of books and articles, and abbreviations. So we're going to look here. I'm having you guys do 10 point exercise 1 through 10 even. So I'm going to do the odds with you. General John J. Pershing. General, the first letter of general needs to be capitalized, the first letter of John needs to be capitalized, J needs to be capitalized, and the first letter of perishing needs to be capitalized. Number 3, the short story All Summer in a Day by Ray Bradbury. So this is not having it as a sentence, but if it was the beginning of the sentence, that T would need to be capitalized. It's not saying that it was used that way. But that beginning of the short story where that quote is, that A and all needs to be capitalized, and then the first letter of Ray and the first name letter of Bradbury, so that B needs to be capitalized. Number 5, Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. The J in Jack and the J in Jill needs to be capitalized. Number 7, crossing the Rocky Mountains. The R in Rocky and the M in Mountains needs to be capitalized. Number 9, the Field Museum of Natural History in Chicago, Illinois. So the, it doesn't have to be capitalized, but field, the F in field and the M in museum. Of is not, in natural, and H in history is, and then that Chicago, that C needs to be capitalized, and that I in Illinois needs to be capitalized. So these are just good practice skills for you in your writing. And then I'm hoping we finish the giver and you have a worksheet on Thursday to do. There's just 5 questions on there, and you're going to use in-text citations to do the worksheet. So remember that this is good practice for this, because in-text citations, remember you have that where it says, when did the book, what was the setting, or what month did the book say that it began. And then you could open your book right here to page 1, and it'll say, "It was almost December, and Jonas was beginning to be frightened." You could say December, and then you could start that quote. "It was almost December, and Jonas was beginning to be frightened." And then end quote, parenthesis, Lowry 1, parenthesis, period at the end. So just remember those in-text citations, and I want you guys to practice that really. And then we're done with creative writing. You guys have gone so far since the beginning. I know I've pushed you pretty hard to learn how to do formatting and stuff, and I just think you're eventually going to be so glad that you guys learned how to do that at a young age. And I just am so proud of you that you've comprehended so much and that you've practiced a lot. And I think you guys have come such a long way. I've seen some of you just flourish, and some of you just are becoming more and more of an author. And so I'm just so proud of you, and I'm so glad that I got to teach you guys writing. Have a really great summer, guys.